that I think answer the questions that you've raised. It's essentially two. The first is the statement that was issued by the intelligence community in October of 2016, before the election, making clear that Russia was interfering in our election, represented the consensus view of 17 different intelligence agencies. That's not usually the way intelligence works. That kind of unanimity of opinion, particularly when the stakes are so high, is notable.
So the official White House response is that there are 17 U.S. intelligence agencies who are unified in their belief that it was the Russians who hacked the DNC to help Donald Trump win the election. And I got to thinking, that sounds really familiar. Don't forget, we could take a look back at the run-up to the Iraq War when Colin Powell gave his UN address, where he said that there were 16 U.S. intelligence agencies who were unified in their belief that Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction.
If we had known the intelligence was wrong, we would not have gone into Iraq. But the intelligence community, all 16 agencies, assured us that it was right. My speech at the UN was based on that information.
Every statement I make today is backed up by sources, solid sources. These are not assertions. What we're giving you are facts and conclusions based on solid intelligence.
So there you go. The more things change, the more they stay the same. That was then, and this is now. Once again, Donald Trump has every reason not to trust the CIA. The CIA is a rogue agency. They have lied to us before. I mean, they have a long history of lying to the American public. They have operatives working within the mainstream media. We all know that. Those of you who don't believe it, Google search Operation Mockingbird. The CIA has lied to the people from way back to Vietnam, to JFK. They lied to us about the terrorist attack on Cubana Flight 455, Operation Gladio, drug trafficking in the U.S. They lied to us about Benghazi, 9/11, the 28 pages, you name it. And now they are out to destroy Donald Trump, who is a direct threat to the entire establishment. Former NSA Technical Director William Binney joins us now. And sir, I wanted to get your take on the official White House response that there are 17 U.S. intelligence agencies who are unified in their belief that it was the Russians who hacked the DNC in favor of Donald Trump to win the election. Do you buy it, or does this remind you, the first thing I thought of was Colin Powell in his UN address. He said there were 16 U.S. intelligence agencies who said Saddam Hussein had weapons of mass destruction. Does it sound familiar?
Yeah, it also sounds familiar, just like the Tonkin Gulf affair that didn't happen.
Yeah.
The first clue I had by seeing what they were saying was that they judged with high confidence. Now, what that means is they have no empirical evidence to show a trail directly to them. So they're just guessing at the end.
And then the mainstream media, just right on cue, they regurgitate all the talking points. And we saw the Senate hearings that didn't prove a damn thing. And all they've got is the New York Times and the Washington Post, who had anonymous sources from the CIA that told them that it was the Russians that hacked the DNC.
Yes, and the other point is hacking is not the issue. The real issue is who gave the data to WikiLeaks.
That's right.
I mean, I'm sure the Russians hacked everybody. I mean, certainly they would go after Hillary Clinton because she used to be Secretary of State.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, she was a target, just like all secretaries of states of all the countries are targets. So I'm sure they did it. I'm sure the Israelis did it. I'm sure the British did it. I'm sure the Germans did it. I'm sure any number of countries, certainly the Iranians, the North Koreans, I'm sure all of them did it. So the question really becomes, who passed them after they hacked them and got them? Who passed them to WikiLeaks, if in fact that's the way that happened? Craig Murray, a former UK diplomat, said that he passed the data to WikiLeaks from someone he met in American University in Washington, D.C., who was basically a disgruntled employee of the DNC.
And that's the sources we're hearing as well. This is all coming from disgruntled employees within the U.S. intelligence community. And Julian Assange from WikiLeaks, he said from the very beginning that it did not come from Russia.
That's correct, yeah.
And now, and I was wondering, you've been with the NSA, you were with the NSA for 36 years, and you know what it's like when the U.S. government gets boxed into a corner. Donald Trump is a direct threat to the establishment. Does that mean the establishment is a direct threat to Donald Trump? Could his life be in danger?
Well, I don't know if they'd go that far, but certainly they'll try to undermine him any way they can. I mean, that's the way they operate.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, even Senator Schumer has warned him about that.
Yeah, I played that clip earlier, and it sounded like a direct threat from the CIA. He's passing on the message. Senator Rand Paul said whoever is behind the leaks should be prosecuted and should be thrown in jail because this is blackmailing the future president of the United States. Am I right?
Well, yes, but you have to remember with our Department of Just Us, it depends on who it is, right? If it's Hillary, anybody associated with them, or if it's people who are in the intelligence community that are too important or too high up to prosecute, like Petraeus or something like that, then they fall into the group of us and they don't get prosecuted.
Well, Donald Trump has always talked about draining the swamp. Do you think he's going to be capable of draining the swamp of the U.S. intelligence agencies? There's a lot of work to do.
Yes, that's really going to be tough, but he's got to. It's really going to be a big job. But he's got to have the right people in there who are quite willing to, hit everybody hard and take them out and get rid of them if they're in the way. That's really what the problem is. It's basically, I think, about the top 4 levels of management of all these intelligence agencies. I mean, their whole system is built on lies. They lie to Congress. They lie to the public. They lie to each other, So it's all built on lies.
Dan Coates, he's the new nominated director of national intelligence. And see, I think he needs to bring in outsiders and investigate just how corrupt and dishonest we're talking senior levels of the U.S. intelligence agencies.
Yes,
that's a good place to start?
Yeah, in fact, we had filed a complaint against the corruption, fraud, waste, and abuse just at NSA, and that's documented in the DOD-IG report on the Thin Thread Trailblazer program. And they kept that under wraps and hidden from everybody for, over a decade.
Wow. All right, we're almost out of time. The inauguration is next week. Do you think there's going to be any more surprises, any more blackmailing? What can we expect from the U.S. intelligence agency against Donald Trump before the inauguration?
Well, I don't know that they've been caught basically or been implicated in a lot of false news things and things like that. So who's going to believe anything that comes out now? No one in the public. You can't believe anything that's coming out in public. Certainly the mainstream media has no clue except to regurgitate what they're told. They don't do any investigative reporting anymore. So, they're not going to get any truth from them anymore either.
Well, and I think that's the good news is the American people are not buying it anymore. And thanks to people, even like our new president, Donald Trump, he bypasses the media. He goes straight to independent media and social media. So I think that's the good news. And I think that's the way we'll learn about the truth in the future.
I believe that's right. Yeah.
All right. William Binney, thanks for joining us. It's good to have you on our side.
Well, thanks for having me, too.
All right.